Back to the Wellbeing Matters. Today we have another episode. Like I promised the last time, that we will be talking more about the dietary guidelines for America. It was released earlier this year, and we want to talk more about the recommendations for us. We are going to discuss what are the implications, although research has shown that about 10% of Americans followed the last guideline. That was the one for 2020 to 2025. And what we found out that it's not like the dietary guidelines of old are really complicated or that people don't know how to do it. But economic circumstances, even funding in nutrition assistance has also affected people following the guidelines. And people don't even know how to translate that. So that's an issue. Another thing is that not far-fetched, sometimes we think the dietary guideline is about just what we need to eat, but we don't know how to spread it across our daily caloric need, and also for the different stage of life, how do we adapt the guidelines? So let's discuss that today, and also we will delve into how best to make it adaptable to each of our lives. We have different needs, different age group, different physiological status, caloric need, or even your economic circumstances. So we need to consider all that. The new guideline, let's go into it. It has more protein recommendations. I'll show it here. The 2025 to 2030. You can get it at realfood.gov, USDA realfood.gov, but we would share some examples here. The dietary guideline mentioned that we should eat the right amount for you. What does that mean? That the food that you need to eat in a day must be spread across different food groups that we have. So if you don't know what food groups are, according to USDA, that's the United States Department of Agriculture, they're the different category of all existing foods, and they are divided into 6. So we have the grains, which are mostly carbohydrate giving food. We have the protein giving food. So you can have plant protein, plant sources, or animal sources like your beef, your poultry. And also you can also have fish, seafood in part of protein. Also, let me read through the new publication guideline. Prioritize protein food at every meal. The protein serving goal should be 1.2 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. So this is the first time we're having a guideline give us the protein recommendation higher than the previous guideline, and then looking at the body weight of an individual depending on your caloric requirement. Also, they talked about consuming a variety of protein foods from animal sources, including eggs, poultry, seafood, and red meat, and also plant sources, protein food. So just pay attention to portion sizes, and also hydration is key. In the dietary guideline, we have that hydration is a key factor to our overall health to promote also our digestion, no matter the food you're eating. But your gut health is something that is important. So let's look into the recommendation. With the picture of the beginning of the guideline, the one that we are saying, oh, common sense, we are going back to real food, our food system need to prioritize people growing new real foods. Are we looking at how people can achieve eating real foods? The cultural preferences of our demographic? Are we looking at affordability? Are we looking at how accessible these food are to our community members? The dietary preferences. We can't say that people should eat the food and then they can't access it. The economic circumstances or food environment is not giving the access needed to achieve this dietary guidelines. So we can talk about, real food prioritization. Real food is what we need people to eat. What do we have in our grocery stores? Or do we have cash at hand for these people to get food? Now we have mostly the supplemental nutrition assistance program cuts in various states. Up to I think 18 states now have the SNAP waiver on the limitation of the food they can eat. That can be a positive one for nutrition in terms of regulating what people can buy with food assistance. But then how many people have access to this nutritious food now? If you go to the grocery store, even this fresh produce we're advocating for are more pricey than the processed food. In this guideline, too, we have that we should cut out ultra processed food. So this is the first time it's explicit in our dietary guideline that do not consume ultra processed food and watch out for added sugar. They're like, even for young children, no source of added sugar in their meals, which is a thumbs up. I really support that. But how do we make this food enjoyable for kids and the dietary pattern is still healthy across the lifespan? If the parents cannot afford it, if the parents do not have the knowledge to prepare the meal. Mind you, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program education support for low-income families is cut off. So there are a lot of things to look at. We can look at the publication, the documents. Are we looking at the implementation? And that's why we're talking about it. Also, gut health is prioritized in this dietary guideline. And let's look at it. In the picture I'll be showing here, it's showing that in the guideline, we can see that the gut health awareness is here, talking about the different microbiome we have in our body and how we can be supported by eating healthy diet or fermented foods. So when we have food that are probiotic or prebiotics, meaning that food that have gone through fermentation, like for instance, you have let's say rice that have been cooked and left in the fridge overnight, or you have fermented food like kefir, edamame, like that's from soybean. They actually promote gut health because they help support the healthy bacteria that help in digestion and also help maintain your regular metabolism. So we having positive review in our guideline, but then how many people can afford it? If you are listening to me, the theme for this dietary guideline is affordability. We will implement it by giving you simple strategies. If you have economic restriction, then you need to look for alternatives, healthy alternatives to achieve these guidelines. And also, don't be shy in asking for help. Go to your local public health department, go look for resources, the wellness resources in different counties about access to food pantry or access to kitchen soup resources in your local government or even non-profit that can support you. We have some hospitals or healthcare institutions offering vouchers, especially research programs ongoing for produce prescription where they can give you fruit and vegetables. There are also resources that you can use. But the dietary guideline, we give the information, but you also need how to access the food to eat, especially referencing the 2000 standard daily calorie need. To spread the nutrient requirements, you need the food. Yeah, we can talk about eat full fat dairy, up to 3 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruits daily, but we don't have it at home or you don't have it to purchase. It's not possible to meet that requirement. When we talk about these servings, ensure that the total of what you're eating is like, let's say, 1 medium apple, 1 medium-sized banana. That's like 2 servings of fruits. Then vegetables, ensure that you're having up to 1 cup cooked vegetable sauce. Because when we are counting carbohydrates or we are counting serving sizes, the amount, the portion size matter to ensure you're meeting up to the recommendation. And that's why you need to work with a dietitian or a nutrition coach to help you tailor this recommendations or dietary guidelines to your specific need, your specific caloric need. And also vegetables and whole grains are high source of fiber. You can get fiber rich nutrients dense food that will supply this food. So for gut health that was mentioned in the guideline, you need to ensure consumption of high fiber too, which can be in whole grains, in vegetables. They're important for your health to promote your well-being. Because if we're talking about Americans or the general populace, even across the world, sometimes it's not the lack of information, it's the lack of implementation or step by step guide to ensure that the recommendation we are giving is achieved and adapted to their day to day life. So, if you know that you need support, please click the link in the description below and reach out to us. Coach with Dr. Mary, I will assign you to one of our dietitians, volunteer dietitians that can guide you. Also, I have here with me to read to you that high fiber food support a diverse microbiome, which is beneficial to your health. The long-term goal and benefit of this high fiber food cannot be overemphasized, especially plant source proteinous food like beans, peas, lentils, legumes, nuts, seeds, and soy foods. So even when this dietary guideline is saying that, oh, eat protein foods at every meal, you can also get your protein requirement from diverse sources. Don't restrict yourself to, I can't afford beef, I can't afford seafood. You can also, we call it plant forward meals that can also support your protein needs at every meal. Then your cooking method, instead of frying, deep frying, you can work on broiling, roasting, and also grilling cooking methods for your proteinous meal. They really help. Also, high quality research has shown that the protein quality of your meal matter more. Yes, we talk about, oh, eat protein at every meal, but the protein quality, that shows that, is it giving the essential amino acid? Proteins supply amino acid, they repair your tissue, muscle giving support in the body. But then the quality of protein that is supplied from the food you're eating matters to ensure that that protein will support your health or your overall health. So please, quality of protein, if it is eggs you're eating, if it is two boiled egg, ensure you're eating that and eat the yolk. Don't go with, oh, egg yolk has cholesterol issue. That's a myth. That's not a fact. So please prioritize that. Another point for this dietary guideline is the processed food, limiting highly processed food, no ultra processed food in your meals. Added sugar should be avoided, and refined carbohydrates. So let's look at that. So you are not to exceed 10 grams of added sugar in your meals. So how do we achieve that? So reduce packaged foods, reduce buying food that have added sugar, or food, they call it fruit juice concentrate, or you see syrup, or you see lactose, fructose in the packaged food. There are existing fructose, lactose, or sucrose in fruit and vegetables. So it's not outrightly bad. It's just that the nutritive or sweeteners added to packaged foods increase your added sugar consumption. Also, when you're looking at those fatty foods that you get, especially when they're high in sodium, added sugar, or other additives, you can't really quantify the total amount or gram of added sugar is supplying to your body. Some write it in the package. FDA has given a requirement that you must specifically do your food labeling, and if you have LD claim on those packages, still on the safe side. But if you can reduce ultra processed food, packaged food, it will reduce your risks or reduce your consumption of added sugar. Using your consumption of added sugar can also be prioritized when you have home cooked meals. Home cooked meals, you are reducing candies, you are reducing cookies, but you are prioritizing nutrient dense meals. I've talked about cooking method. Ensure you are boiling, grilling, roasting in your oven, not frying a lot, not doing things that can increase the fatty or the saturated fats in your meals. So processed food, chips, cookies can increase the added sugar that you're consuming. Even when the dietary guidelines says don't eat it, what you are eating in your food will supply that. So that's how to relate it to your day-to-day activities. Another thing you can do is that when you're cooking meals or you're buying snacks for your family, ensure that you're looking at healthy options. You can go to Whole Foods Market, or you get food that have been labeled no high corn sugar syrup, or not packaged food that have gone through a lot of processing. And that's why we're saying ultra processed food is a no-no in this dietary recommendation. One thing you can do is that look out for rice syrup, look out for dextrose, honey, molasses, some non-nutritive factors in your meal. That will help you not to fall into the dish of added sugar in what you consume daily. And for healthy fats, let's go to healthy fats. You know, when we talk about healthy fats, we're talking about foods that have more of unsaturated fatty acid, polyunsaturated fatty acid, or monounsaturated fatty acid. Wait, let me break it down. So when you buy food, you know, you have cooking oils at home and you see some say cholesterol free. That is just a marketing gimmick. There's nothing like cholesterol, even in those seed oils that you get at grocery stores. But one thing you can do is that you ensure that the oils you're buying or the food you're buying to get your healthy fats, including more nuts, let's say almond nuts, avocados, those are healthy fats. Even your seafood, fish, the type, maybe salmon, tuna, mackerel, you can get healthy fat from them. And when they say less than 10% saturated fat, that is in the dietary guideline, meaning that you are not buying processed food that have saturated fat in them. Or even when you are cooking, the healthy fat you're using does not lead you to getting saturated fat in your food. So you can't necessarily measure the total saturated fat in your meal, but the quality of healthy fat or oils you're using will inform if you are going to have more than 10% saturated fat in your daily meals. So you can use more of olive oil, use more of avocado in your different meals and the meal preparation you make. But for specific lifestyle meal plan, you have to reach out to a dietitian to help you analyze what you'll be eating and how that will spread across your different meals throughout. Focus on having 2 to 4 servings of whole grains in your meal daily. When I talk about servings, I talked about the portion sizes of this meal. Ensure that whole grains, fiber dense grains, millet, sorghum. I eat more of oatmeal. That's an whole grain. So add it to your meal daily. That will help you and help your family to ensure whole grain consumption and not buying ready to eat or white bread, tortilla in your meals daily. So in summary of the dietary guideline, the loophole I'm seeing there is the full fat dairy that they're recommending for fat. Not everybody can accommodate 1.2 to 1.6 gram of protein daily per body weight. So that might affect some people that are lactose intolerant if they're drinking whole milk or full fat dairy. So that's why you need to speak to a dietitian. Don't just take the dietary guideline just on face value. You have to speak to a professional that will help you. If you're looking at soda beverages that you buy, especially for kiddos, I know we want to give them good drinks, flavorful or tasty things. Please ensure that the sodium content of the drinks, added sugar are monitored. In the dietary guideline for children between 1 to 3 years old, the daily sodium requirement is 1200 1,200 milligram per day. And so they add up so quickly, especially if some children are eating noodles or they are eating things that are not supposed to be part of their daily meals. It can quickly add up. Noodles already can give up to 2,300 milligram of sodium if you are not careful, or you are preparing or buying chips for them, buying those crackers. the added sugar and sodium level is already high. So by the time you want to distribute it across their snacks, it's not possible. You can go for homemade cookies and bulk prep them. We've talked about that on this channel before, that please bulk prep your meals for your children. For the sodium content, I think highly processed food and buying fine dining can increase your sodium content for your family. But for you, you can reduce that, especially when you prepare your meal, because you know the amount of salt or herbs and spices you can put. I've talked about putting rosemary, ginger, thyme in your meal to give it flavor or taste. And that means you don't need a lot of sweeteners, or you don't even need a lot of salt in your meals if you can apply herbs and spices very well to the meals you are preparing at home. But for individuals with vegetarian lifestyle or vegan lifestyle, we talked about your LD dietary pattern should contain of the different food groups, the 6 categories of food. But if you eat more veggies, you ensure that you consume whole foods. You don't eat packaged food, because now you don't even want the nutrients you're getting from your vegetables or just grains to interact even with preservative and additives that you should not shortfall of vitamin A, B, C, and also your other fatty supporting vitamins that are needed in your body should be prioritized. So sometimes there will be need for supplementation, but I think that if you diversify your plant products, proteinous food to also help you meet and ensure that the protein food you're eating can support your iron needs, because vegetarian meals, it's put in the dietary guideline. Let me read it to you: that pay careful attention to potential nutrient gaps and vegan dietary pattern, because they fall short of your vitamin D, E, choline, iron. So ensure that you see a dietitian if you're going through a vegetarian lifestyle. And if you're an individual having a chronic disease condition or diagnosis, I think it's best you work with your professional, your healthcare professional, physician, to ensure that this guideline is adopted to your health. So don't follow the trends, because the American Heart Association has shown that if you follow dietary pattern that is high in vegetables, high in whole grains, less in processed food, it will also help promote your heart healthy diet, especially with people going through conditions with cardiovascular diseases. So in summary, this dietary guideline is not something you should jettison about, but for different age group, there are different recommendations across the lifespan. And for you as an individual, maybe you have children going through adolescence, there are nutrient needs that need to be prioritized. A young child, maybe between the age of 5 to 10, there are different needs that need to prioritize due to their growth spurt and milestone. So you can take the dietary guideline as, general recommendation, but for you and your family needs, the individual recommendation varies, especially for toddlers or infants. The dietary recommendations still say breastfeed children up onto 6 months and include complementary feeding from 6 months to 2 years, but they also still support breastfeeding beyond 2 years based on your capacity, based on the needs that you can meet. So it is important that all these are tailored to your specific goals and your specific family needs, economic circumstances, cultural preferences, and can you afford it? If you can't, please reach out to resources across board. It can be through your public health organization or department in your environment, or you can reach out to non-profit, or you can also reach out to local social workers or healthcare institutions in your environment to support your needs. Please, the dietary guideline is important, but more importantly is the adaptation to your needs, your family needs, your individual needs, your caloric requirements based on everything I've explained so far. So dietary guideline for America is out. This is what we'll be working with as professionals, even researchers. It will be adapted to the federal programs, the policy ongoing. This will be like a guide for the general population in programming and also policy implementation across board. But for individuals, ensure it's adapted to your lifestyle. Amidst all of this, we still have about 38 million Americans living in poverty, people struggling with food insecurity. We still have about 13.5% of food insecurity. That means people that don't have access to enough food for a given period of time, more than a month, and people that are still struggling. So it's not even about just the dietary guideline, it's about the administration support this time, looking at cuts in funding and everything. So please support families that don't have food, and let's reduce controversy, let's reduce arguments, and let's focus on our health goals, our nutrition goals for this year. Till next time, we'll talk. I'll come here to share with you research findings, our food, and if you need individualized coaching, click the description link there about Coach with Dr. Mary. I will get you fix an appointment for you to speak with a dietitian. We have an in-house dietitian. Until next time, your well-being matters, and stay well.